No, I think we probably have 4 or 5 in the catalogue, so if you're downloading another 2 and I've got one from Wendy, that's more than enough. Brilliant, brilliant. I love those 2 teapots, they're awesome.
We clothe ourselves with textiles from birth to death, 24 hours a day. From the second we're born to the second we die, we are wrapped in textiles, and yet most people know nothing about where it came from, who made it, what chemicals are in there, and how it affects their health or well-being. I really think it's all about education at this stage, and there's lots of ways of learning. I mean, we're in a digital age where there is endless means of connecting and communicating and reading and learning. There are fabulous webzines, magazines, websites, people, groups, communities to connect with that really, their tentacles are so broad and wide that there are lots of ways of becoming informed about what choices you are making and what the ramifications of those choices are. I think ultimately, whether we're aware of it or not, everybody is making, through their purchases, are voting. And if that's being done by default, you're doing it without the knowledge of what you're funding. Whether that's a Starbucks coffee or a piece of clothing from any number of high street retailers, you really want to know what you're paying for and if you're comfortable with what you're paying for. Most manufacturers really have no concept who's producing their stuff. It's a name on it's a line item on a budget, so that has engendered massive problems, that they're just so not in touch with who is making their garments, under what conditions, what they're being paid. And it's become so complicated at this stage that big producers really, you're talking about thousands upon thousands of inputs and people and places and contractors who are subcontracting, and very little control over that. So that's a massive problem, because many really have no idea about the conditions and the actual pay of the people that are making their garments. And over and above that, the consumer, clearly, if the manufacturer doesn't know what's going on, the consumers have no idea what they're paying for and what they're buying into. To speak about Rana Plaza, it was just such a massive disaster that impacted so many human lives, that destroyed communities, and it drew attention to the fact that, as with many of these disasters, many of the manufacturers weren't actually sure if they were producing there or not, and if they were they producing there right now? It came down to people like Labour Behind the Label and Clean Clothes Campaign to pick up labels in these spaces to find out who was producing. And many of them were saying, no, we're not. Actually, you know what, we have one of your shirts here and it's under the rubble, so maybe you were. So, I think there is no reason why we have to subjugate people or planet in an effort to put clothing on our back.
We must stand up and say